should we light the fuse? Sound off, should we break the rules? We the ones with the light, and we got them in our sight. They the ones with a lot to lose. Sound off, should we light the fuse? Sound off, should we break the rules? We the ones with the light, and we got them in our sight. They the ones with a lot to lose.
Alright, so the application is good to go. It's ready to be promoted.
Friday noon to 1, and then Saturday, I think Ann Becker's going to do the 10:30 to 12:30.
Prepare for critical mass.
Hey. Oh, nice.
So we'll just start with going over the agenda, doing intros, stuff like that.
I put messaging on the agenda because we really need clarification on where this is taking us.
Just empowering veterans to tell their stories. It is inherently anti-war to tell people what we went through, because no one could hear our stories and still support this shit. When we're debating like Iraq and Afghanistan and how broad to go all war, we don't use the word war up there. We use the word occupation. And I think that occupation is a really strong framing. What we're saying is it's not something like World War II where, you know, Hitler's out of power, then you started the Marshall Plan, which was the occupation. No one ever said we could win the Marshall Plan. There was no win-loss.
The war is hurting America in its military. The war is hurting America in its young people. The war is hurting America economically. The war is hurting America on so many fronts that we would take years to list them all.
To me, the whole argument that like the war is bad because it's hurting America or that it's hurting our readiness militarily, like that's not why I got involved with Winter Soldier. It seems like a major departure from the original vision of this, which for me is that the occupations are immoral.
I'm not against the war or the occupations or whatever because it hurts America, because I don't think that's the main thing. I think that's what this testimony is about. It's going to show that the main people who are getting hurt are in Iraq and Afghanistan.
People in my platoon were fucking killed and their legs were blown the fuck off. You know what I'm saying? That is why I'm here.
Right. But
that
if
is
you
why.
testify to that, Steve,
yes.
the implication is we could have done it without getting
No,
our
the
guys
implication.
killed.
The implication is, goddamn it, there's American soldiers that died, and that's
I joined
fucked
the
up.
military because I believed in defending the country. Being a soldier is supposed to be an honor and having those great ideals. And the military itself is not a bad organization, and it didn't used to be. I'm not saying I love war, but some of us do believe that whether or not we love war, war will come eventually. It's not this. They want to make it about this. They want to make Iraq the war for our country, and it's not.
If the military is strong, there's no GI resistance.
This I disagree
The whole point
with.
of GI resistance
This I
is that it
disagree with.
undermines the military's ability to accomplish its objective, creating fear in political leadership.
Well, the
That's
thing
how the
is-
Vietnam War ended, because the military wasn't strong. I don't want a strong military. A strong military could sustain occupations in Iraq and Afghanistan indefinitely. I don't want that.
I think we have different ideas of resistance, and it's partially because I want to make sure the organization doesn't cross over into illegal lands.
Into what?
Illegal lands.
Illegal land?
Yeah,
Like
like-
civil disobedience?
No.
'Cause we're-
no,
we're
but-
there.
I know. No. I mean, I don't want us to give any excuse that the Attorney General can declare us a subversive organization officially.
I would be really proud to be declared a subversive organization. It would mean that we're having a lot more impact than we are now.
All right.
There's been GI resistance as long as this country's had a military. The Revolutionary War, there was GI resistance. The Mexican-American War, there was GI resistance. That doesn't get taught to you in high school. You don't learn that one when you open up the history books. But there has been this long history of GI resistance that now I'm proud to be a part of.
I believe our graduates are among the finest young people in the armed forces today. Receiving this certificate is Sergeant Selena Cobra, graduating with an average of 93.7%.
I mean, this is so important on so many levels, just to get this war ended. You know, I'm tired of seeing people die. I'm tired of seeing funerals, but it's so dangerous at the same time. You know, just to be speaking up. I mean, I have a friend of 7 years who's being investigated just for associating with me. And it's probably going to be interesting because I'm sure that as soon as I testify at Winter Soldier, I'll immediately be demonized.
Right, face. Post.
There's a lot of talk in this country about listening to soldiers and, quote, supporting the troops. But when it really comes to listening to what we have to say about our experiences in Iraq, very few want to listen. Could you hold on for just a second for me, please? Thanks. As you may or may not have known, During the siege of Fallujah, the Army openly admitted to using weapons that are banned by the Geneva Convention.
But this is the great thing about living in DC, though, is you're a part of things. Whenever anything happens, you're in the thick of things here.
Now for the top story tonight, joining us from Washington, Geoff Millard, the DC chapter president for Iraq Veterans Against the War.
I find it actually kind of despicable as a veteran of the Iraq War that I can't see on TV people actually talking about the war. Instead, they talk about people who talk about the war instead of actually discussing the war, discussing what's actually happening.
It's hard to discuss a situation that is not within our grasp.
Well,
you know, we have
media is not an easy thing, Bill. I'm not asking for easy tasks. I didn't ask for an easy task when I signed up for the military.
Okay.
Thanks.
Fucking scared shitless right now. My name is Geoff Millard. I'm the Washington, D.C. chapter president of Iraq Veterans Against the War. I spent 9 years in the New York Army National Guard. It has been the utmost honor, more honor than I ever gained from putting on a uniform, to sit up here with the greatest patriots of American history. Thank you.